Greetings, my dearest listeners. I am Clarissa from Eagle School, and today I'm going to tell you guys one of the story in the world of fairy tales. The title goes by the name Rumpelstiltskin. It's a German fairy tale that got collected by Jacob Grimm and Wilhelm Grimm. Once upon a time, there was a miller in the village who lived poorly with his beautiful daughter. While working, he loved to tell and amaze people with his made-up stories. And one day, the king passed the town. He heard one of the miller's stories, that his daughter is so smart that she can turn straws into gold. And so, with the king's greed, he took the daughter into a chamber full of straws and left the message. If you didn't manage to turn those straws into gold by the morning, you will be dead. And with that, the king locked her up in the chamber alone. The girl started crying and wept hopelessly, for she didn't actually know how to turn straws into gold. And with that, suddenly, a little man showed up. The man asked her why she such in a state, to which the girl finally explained. "What you give me in exchange of turning those into gold?" she asked her. "But how can you possibly do that?" "Of course I can. What if you gave me your necklace in exchange?" And soon enough, the girl agreed, for her freedom is much more dearer than her treasures. Whir. He worked tirelessly, turning all of those straws into gold. By the morning, he left with the necklace that the girl promised. The king came. Despite seeing all of those glistening gold threads, he decided that he wanted more. So he took the girl and locked her up in a much bigger room with much more straws, and left with the same message. If you didn't manage to turn those straws into gold by the morning, you will be dead. And so, the king left and the girl once again cried. "I was lucky to have that man last time, but how can it possibly happen again?" But it did. The man showed up and rescued her once again. And this time, he asked her a ring for the deal in exchange. So once again, he worked tirelessly, turning all of those straws into gold. The morning came. The girl was so sure that the king would finally let her go. But no, the king dragged her into a bigger room with the most straws yet. And he left with the word, "If you manage to turn off those straws into gold by the morning, you will be my wife." And with that, he left. The girl sat once again hopelessly. But then, the little man came back to her rescue again. But this time, the girl had nothing to sacrifice. So the little man took a bit to think. Finally, he decided to make a deal for the girl to give him her firstborn child in exchange of the task. The girl agreed. She didn't plan to have a child anyway. And with that, the little man goes back to work, turning all of those straws into gold. The day came, and soon enough, the miller's daughter became a queen. A year passed. The queen had a beautiful baby prince and had forgotten about the little man. Until the little man came back to her bedroom and demanded the child as a promise. The queen panicked and refused. She offered him all kinds of treasures and even castles, as long as she can keep her child. The little man pitied her, and said, if you manage to guess my name between 3 days, you can keep your child. And with that, he left. The queen spent all night making a list of names you'd known. As the first day came, he showed up and asked her his name. She threw every name that she'd known, but sadly, none of it were correct. He left, and the queen goes back to work. This time, she sent a servant to help her to list more big and odd strange names. As the second day came, the little man showed up again and asked her what his name is. But sadly, none of it were correct either. So he left again and waited for the last day to come. So the queen sent the servant once again, this time even more strange and odd places. And while the servant was on his trip, he saw a little light illuminating from within the forest. He tried to look closer on it and saw a little guy dancing around the fire and singing about how his genius plan will work, and he will have the queen's child. For no one will know that his name is Rumpelstiltskin. And with that, the servant soon reported it to the queen. The queen was very delighted. As the last day came, the little man showed up and asked her his name. The queen threw out some names first, and soon enough she said, "Your name must be Rumpelstiltskin." And the Rumpelstiltskin heard that, was shocked. His face got red, and he started to pull his hair. He started stomping on the floor, screaming, "The devil told you that, the devil told you that." He stomped onto the ground as his leg got stuck into the floor. He tried to grab his leg out of the floor with his hand. With full anger, he tried to pull it out, but instead, he tore himself into two. And so, from this story, we can see that it all started with the miller's tall tales. We can learn to take more careful in our actions and words, so we didn't string unwanted things to come along. And with that, the story ends. Sincerely, thank you for spending your time with me, and stay safe. Thank you.